So in my discussion with Pete, talked briefly about this idea of who hurt you. And the question, of course, when it's posed, is often a very loaded one, because it's not as if the person who's asking the question is legitimately asking the question. The person who's posing this question to you is almost invariably using it as a weapon. The idea being, you were hurt in the past, probably in a relationship, and therefore your thoughts and how you reacted, all this is invalid. It's not the same thing as saying, who hurt you? I wonder how you ended up feeling this way. Let's explore that. It's not that. It's a cheap rhetorical tool. That said, it's undeniable that people, as we go through life, end up getting hurt, and relationships are one of those domains where people end up getting hurt. Relationships are sinkholes of disappointment, hurt, pain, anger, resentment, you name it. Virtually all the most negative emotions that are embodied by human beings can be best typified at times in relationships. And almost no one's immune. I don't even think Chad is immune. There's going to be disappointment. There's going to be hurt. So the question in of itself, given the right context, is not a bad question. It's a question that makes thorough sense if the person who's posing the question is interested in the answer and interested in how person X arrived at his conclusions. Now, assuming that's the case, and it's not just being used as a rhetorical weapon, then, yeah, it's normal to get hurt. It's normal to react to that. And there are a range of responses to being hurt and to pain. But as I've tried to relentlessly point out on this channel, the desire to understand the world, to get how the different links in the chain work, that is oftentimes part and parcel of that quote-unquote process of hurt, disappointment. From failure you learn, right? If things are always going swimmingly, if you never have any issues, you're never going to call anything into question. That's just almost pure logic. What else would you do? Things are going well. Okay. Never had a problem with the car. Never needed to change the tires, fix the motor, whatever. You're not going to know anything about doing those things. So part of the hurt is legitimate. And so that hurt process does lead you down certain avenues. And some of those avenues, to be fair, in the manosphere, are way too broad, way too lacking in nuance. But it's a start. Put it that way. It's a start. Eventually, of course, in time, as you understand these things, they're complex, you develop more nuance. But a big part of it isn't just hurt. A big part of it isn't just you said mean things, or somebody cheats on you so you're hurt, or they just abandon you. Yes, these things are hurtful. A big part of it boils down to the disappointment that a lot of people, specifically men, not just young men, but men feel after discovering the underlying surface beneath all the lies, the deceit, the veil that has been erected around them. What is that veil? It's the veil of white lies. It's the veil of pretending things are X when in fact they're Y. And pretending that the emperor has clothes when he has none. The reality is that the reproductive game is absolutely brutal and unforgiving, even in modernity in its own respect. Of course, not as brutal as a few millennia ago, but nonetheless, it's pretty brutal. But when you grow up with platitudes, when you grow up with fanciful, kind, white lies that are told to you on a daily basis about just be a good person, be a good person, develop your sense of humor, rather than being what some people might regard as unnecessarily reductionistic, but rather than just being honest about these things. Look, here's the issue. Lose weight. Grow taller. Can't really do much about that, but yeah. Grow taller. Lose weight. Earn more money. Do the things that are going to, quote unquote, make you attractive to women, because human beings, as all animals are, we're insanely superficial creatures. Is that what we're taught? Well, you might have some inkling of that. Sure, attraction, what you find attractive or not. It's unlikely, on average at least, if you're a normal-looking guy, that you're going to find a 350-pound woman attractive. So you have that inkling, that slight idea in the back of your mind that, yeah, there's probably something going on that could be reduced down to objective criteria, more or less, with some subjectivity, obviously, but nonetheless, some objective criteria. They don't do that, certainly not in the mainstream. And the further back you go, the more profound the lies become, oftentimes. Without the internet to aid me, I bought into all kinds of things. I remember these late 90s flicks that were released, these romance films I've talked about on more than one occasion on this channel. You might remember Serendipity with Kate Beckinsale and John Cusack. These types of films that engendered this completely bizarre notion of relationships and how they work. Basically attributing an almost magic to it. Oh, wow, you're here in the right place, and then you meet this person, and then it's like magic, right? They never go through the brutal criteria that you have to go through if you want a quote-unquote successful relationship. And that's another problem with the question, who hurt you, and why it's not a very useful question. You can ask it if you're sincere, because the people asking that question, on average, aren't interested in the answer on an individual basis concerning you as a man, but they're also not interested in the broader answer to that question of why these things happen. Why do people get hurt? Why do people cheat? Why do people dump people? Why do people enter relationships in the first place? No, all this is maintained behind a smokescreen of allegedly good intentions to prevent people from understanding what's really going on, most likely out of fear. Well, why? Because if, in fact, these things are true, these unpleasant truths about human beings, people are fearful that people will react in the wrong way, that they'll take it the wrong way. Maybe they'll misuse this information. So it's better to maintain the lie than to reveal the truth. And this isn't unique to this position. For example, that Chad Pete you always invite to gatherings acknowledged in a video that he doesn't believe in free will, but he still thinks you should tell people they have it. You should encourage them in that respect, even though it's obviously, to someone of his viewpoint, a bald-faced lie. Nonetheless, you should still tell people that, because otherwise you're going to discourage them. Same applies here. They'll tell you, just be a good person, just be nice, just be kind, whatever, without going into the details, because for whatever reason, no one wants to acknowledge that dating and mating at the end of the day is all about passing down offspring. And if you want to do that as an organism, you want the best genetic package possible. So being nice isn't going to cut the mustard. None of these things. So I'd be good with the question, who hurt you, if people are legitimately interested. And if they were also interested in the broader macroscopic issues concerning this. But in the vast majority of cases, they're not interested in what happened to you. And they're certainly not interested in some of the more well-informed and accurate conclusions you've drawn about the mating and dating game. They just want you to shut up or insult you or whatever, which is why it's not a helpful question, to my mind. You should acknowledge that you were hurt, the so-called trauma, if you will. But when you go out seeking answers and people categorically reject those answers, even if they are supported by the science, then you know that the question is insincere and it's not really worth addressing with respect to other people. It probably is worth addressing with respect to you, but that's a separate matter because we all know how this question is wielded. Anyway, I thought it was important to make that point, and I will leave you for now. As always, thank you for tuning in. Please leave a like, share, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. If I'm still alive, I'll check you out later. Take care. May the gods watch over you. Bye-bye. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy my content, please consider making a donation or becoming a patron. Thanks for watching.